May the Force.
Force. The Force.
Force. Force.
Force.
The Force will be with you. Always.
Welcome to Star Wars Uplink, your place for everything Star Wars gaming and the TV shows as well as the movies. And I'm your host, Sage Goodwin, and as always, I'm joined by Sydney Laurel. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Star Wars. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into everything we've gotten so far with the Kenobi show, as well as our deep dive thoughts into Episode 5 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So let's jump right in.
Just you reconsider playing that message for him.
Kenobi. Let's start off with our spoiler-free thoughts. Then we're going to do a deep dive into what we think of the story so far up to this point. And we'll take a break and get into our thoughts, spoiler-filled, into Episode 5. So, spoiler-free thoughts around Obi-Wan. It is, without giving anything away, it is the part in the Disney Star Wars TV show formula where they have realized that their story is crap, so it's time to heavily layer on the nostalgia. And that's my thought on it as a whole.
I mean, just as the whole show, there's not much else to say that we haven't already said before. Because every time I go into these, like the next episode, I'm like, okay, well, maybe they'll throw something new. Maybe they'll throw something better or do something that I can appreciate.
This is the episode it gets good, right? Right?
Yeah, every time. And every time I'm disappointed. So, I don't know they're doing stuff to my heart and it hurts.
Yeah, it's very disappointing. If I was going to describe Obi-Wan Kenobi, the show on Disney Plus, in one word, it would be disappointing. We have the opportunity of a lifetime for this iconic character that is the main reason everyone loves Obi-Wan. Ewan McGregor is back.
Frankly, they kind of, for a lot of people, it's the only saving point of the prequels.
Truly. It is. The main reason to watch the prequels is his portrayal of Obi-Wan. And it just feels like the people in charge of Star Wars are so uninterested in telling stories around the existing characters that we have so far. And they just want to use people's hype to tell a less interesting story and introduce some new characters. That's ultimately what it is they're like, oh, we really want to tell this story, but we know that our story isn't good enough to stand on its own, so let's tack on an existing character that people do enjoy or want to see more of, and let's make them less enjoyable, less fun, and less impactful, and then introduce a character so we can do a spin-off show.
Yeah.
You saw this with Boba Fett.
Yeah. It's just like we're just throwing out all the humanity. Let's get rid of emotion and the build up to rewarding ourselves with emotions and things that people are dealing with, and let's just throw some faces in there. Let's do this and that, and we'll make a lot of money doing it. So it just feels extremely commercial. Like it feels like they're just doing this so that they can do more.
Let's see. People really want to do an Obi-Wan show. Oh, hey, the script that you originally started with that you really wanted to do, let's not do that. Let's shorten the time frame that you have to get the show completed, as well as cut out half the episodes. And this is what you have to do. You have to have a character that is younger and is mostly helpless, has a little bit of spunk to it, everyone's going to love. And then let's make a less than interesting character, protect that one. They're gonna get lost, and then you're going to have to get them back. Am I talking about Mandalorian or am I talking about Obi-Wan? Who knows?
But this is their formula right now.
Mandalorian did so well and told a good story because one, they respected they respected the character, they respected the history of the Mandalorians. They knew how hyped people were. They didn't lean too heavily on the laurels of the past or the prequels really or anything like that. They told a set story. And I think we're getting to the point with the LED screen technology where it's hit saturation point of blue screen with the prequels. You know, the prequels was like that height of digital technology. Look at all that we can do with the blue screen and all that stuff. And let's not actually respect how to use the technology well to suit the story, but it's like, oh, hey, we know that this would look better on an actual location, but we've got this technology. Let's just use that. And I feel like we're getting such a lack of experience, a lack of texture, and just good set design because they're like, oh, but we can't put that there because it's going to block the screen. Like, that's not how, like, it looks like a play. It looks like a play. Yeah.
Yeah. It just doesn't feel right. It does not feel right. I haven't mastered it, and
well, they had it mastered in the first one, then they're like, no, let's just do everything in it. It's not an everything tool, as blue screen was not an everything tool. There are still situations where you need to go to a location, or it's going to take away from the shot. Now let's go in and talk about how this series has led up to this point so far. I mean, we've got 5 episodes of the 6 that we're getting. And
which is so ridiculous.
It looks like it seems like, in terms of my opinion, this episode and the next episode, which we don't know what that next episode's going to be like yet because it's not out. But this episode and the next episode is like, well, we had these for sure shots that we wanted to do, but they wouldn't necessarily fit, and we can't really we can't tell the full story to get to these points, but we really want these points in here.
It's rushed.
It is.
The whole thing is rushed. And that's something about your point about Mandalorian. They gave it the time for us to build a relationship and to see where he was going, and like how he morphed into what we know him as right now. This is just not there. Like, it's just bam, bam, bam. Let's just get this story along.
It's like, oh, we have to do this. Yeah. So let's do it in the most, the least interesting way possible.
Most ungenuine way. Like, it's just, it's so plastic. It just,
yeah.
It's weird.
So I think what was so great, again, kind of along those lines of, they have this new technology, which is that LED screen, and the collaboration with Epic and using that for the backgrounds and for it to interact with the camera. I think they've gone too far in that direction on multiple levels. One is the cinematography, because the cinematography of the show is so awful. Like, there are like 2 scenes where I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they choose the most boring shot possible. They choose the least interesting way to tell a story through the visual medium. And then they have the aspherical lenses, the anamorphic lenses, and they're just shooting them wide open without any need or motivation for those shots to actually use anamorphic lenses. Because in Mando, they had an intention to say, hey, we want to respect the history of Star Wars and some of the shots in Star Wars. And to do that, what we're going to do are we're going to use these anamorphic lenses, and that's going to add a different texture to them. They used vintage lenses, and it added a good flair to them. And this one, it's like, we have no need for them. There is no reason for them to look this way. Like, we aren't trying to replicate the feel of the original trilogy. Because they aren't. Otherwise, they would have shot it much differently. But we have it already rigged up, so let's just do it. Let's do it this way.
Yeah. Yeah. And that adds to the plastic feel that I'm also talking about, too. Because it's just, it just doesn't feel like Star Wars. Because Star Wars has this nostalgic, vintage feel to it, because they were just using what they had.
Yeah.
So, yeah. There just doesn't feel like there's much respect for what was Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's just, this is what we're trying to push now, and it's not good.
It's sad. There's like no, I want to retract or rephrase my previous statement of them shooting wide open. They aren't shooting it wide open. They're shooting it at like probably probably like a T8 or an F8, with just like a crap ton of light on the set to get the shots, because one, everyone's in focus. There is no, like, you can clearly see they're shooting at a closed down aperture. So they're shooting it that way. And the way cameras work, I'm gonna do a terrible job of this. Cameras work wide open. You're gonna have a smaller plane of focus. So the way the lenses work, there's a little bit of if you go to like an f1.8 or an f1.2, you could get like the eye in focus, but the nose would be out of focus. So if you do that, and you, like, we're shooting this right now at f-stop 5, and that as aperture 5, and I do that specifically, we're going to need more lights to overcome it. You seeing this, it's like, oh wait, there's more lights. It's a way for us to get more of the set in focus, so you can get the microphones in focus, and we can move around, and our faces still are in focus. But that does not lead for a very cinematic look.
Yeah.
You get that everything is in focus, and then they try to replicate the bokeh, or the out of focus background, with the screen technology in the background.
Oh.
So the screen itself is projecting at a set focused range, so it looks out of focus. Cinematic Captures plays with this a lot with his virtual productions. You can actually control the focal length and the aperture in Unreal Engine. So that's what they're doing, is that whole thing in the background for specific shots, so it looks like it's out of focus. They're just literally blurring what they have already built in Unreal.
Fascinating.
And then shooting at it.
And that's why it feels so wrong, because there's never this gradual fade. It's just,
it's like
everything's in focus, even the screen that's blurry. Like,
again, it's like early green screen or blue screen. Is they felt like, because it was so early, they wanted to shoot with a crap ton of light on it, which light is motivation. Shadows are motivation. When you shoot it with a crap ton of light everywhere, you don't get the cast of shadows. Everything looks very plastic. And then, because of how they set it up, you get this really odd look where you can tell that they're separate from the background.
Yeah. Now
with like Marvel movies and a lot of the CGI and the blue screen usage that people are doing now, because the technology has advanced so much, they're able to much easier say, we're going to shoot this as if it was in the same location. We're going to light it as if this was in that location, and then we're going to replicate the background to fit that lighting. Right. It's less so of, it's going to be easier to have the blue screen lit up and everyone lit up, because it's very difficult to replicate the harshness and the reality of shadows. So what they did is they just shot it with a ton of light, so it's easier for everyone. Instead of like, no, I really want this shot to be motivated and have these shadows cast the same way.
And you can feel it. You can feel that it, and that's what makes it cheap, is because you just feel like, they took the easy route.
It's like watching a play on a single stage, and they do this with the camera angles too, because it is literally a stage that they have with like an arc of big LED screens all around them that curve out. They have a set location where they can film, and then they try to replicate different angles using that LED background. So it's literally shooting on a stage. That's why it feels very play-like. So that's my rant on the filmmaking of Obi-Wan. And what sucks too is a lot of like the set pieces and stuff like that. Like, I love the design of the Inquisitor's temple or whatever place. It looked really cool until they got into the set part, like where it was like clear that they were trying to replicate a smaller area on a bigger stage. Like, this is clearly noticeable.
Yeah, I definitely didn't feel as big. It just felt like a stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Fun times.
Love it.
Yay. But I think in terms of the story, again, it's not cohesive. I think a lot of the discourse around it is, obviously someone may have a legitimate gripe that they're portraying as, oh, I don't like this actress, being Reva. But you have to have, I think what they're picking up on that they're not able or informed enough to actually say is, it's not about the actress, it's about the story and the script and what she was given in the first place. Like you can say, you can have like the most controversial character, and we've had very controversial characters get these roles, and you'd be like, man, I don't like this person in real life, but they did such a good job with this character.
Right.
And I think if they have a good story, you can overlook all of these things. But they don't have a good story, so you're picking up on these things. And I think a lot of people are taking that as, oh, it's this person, or it's this thing, or it's, I don't like this. And it leads to a lot of toxicity. And I think that's what a lot of people are picking up on, which is very disappointing. And I think it's taking away from like, let's look at this and offer constructive criticism and feedback on the show itself without attacking the individuals. Yeah. I think that's so blurry right now.
Yeah, because it's not, you can't say, oh no, it's just this one person. It's definitely not.
No, it's the person who wrote the scene, directed it. And like, what's disappointing too is I don't think Deborah Cho was able to really give off her creative and motivated direction in that. I think she was given a lackluster script that she was not enthused about and tried to do the best thing that she could do with it.
Yeah.
Because as we've seen in Mando, she's a very good she's a very good director. Better Call Saul, like, incredible show. She's done incredible things, but she was also given the tools, the respect, and the script that she needed to do that. I don't think she was given it in this show.
I don't think so either. I think they just were like, yeah, you're going to have a bunch of freedom. And then they were just like, cut. No.
Yeah. Also, we're going to bring in other writers. I know you had an idea of what you wanted to do with this show, but we're not doing that anymore.
No, not that. No, definitely not.
No, we have this idea for a character that shouldn't be in this show at all.
Yeah.
But we really want to do a spin-off show. So your job is to make sure that she's in it. That's all.
A lot, please, so that people like her and that we can actually do something with her. It's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like they were like, okay, so we told you that you would do this for us, but we actually just kind of want to use your name.
Yeah.
And we're going to do what we want to do. Like, oh.
Yeah, because her and Taika Waititi directed my favorite episodes of The Mandalorian. So good.
Yep.
Did a fantastic job. And then I don't think she was given the respect she needed for that. And they definitely didn't give a freaking good script to Reva's actress. Yeah, no.
I mean, even lines that Obi-Wan is saying.
Oh my gosh.
We're like.
We're going to talk about this in our spoiler-filled part of the episode. But yeah, I 100% agree. There's been the last couple episodes, I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
And you can tell Ewan's like, I hate this so much.
Yeah, he's like, I guess I just have to deliver this line as best I can.
And it just comes across of like, he is as weary as Obi-Wan wants to be.
Yeah.
He's just like, seriously, you guys are putting me through this. Like, there's, without saying anything specifically, there's a scene talking with some rebels, and the lack of emotion and lack of, like, just reality in his delivering of the lines, it's like, oh, you know he hates this. You can see it in his eyes.
Last day of filming or something, or second last day, because, man, you are done.
You are putting in like 10% right now. And Ewan's 10%, of course, is like other actors' 50%. But still. Now let's take a little bit of a break, and we'll jump into the spoiler-filled section, because I do have a couple scenes that I want to point out and some discussion points I want to say.
Okay.
Only different in your mind. You must unlearn what you have learned.
This show, goodness gracious, they tried to do, I think the scenes with Ewan and Hayden as Obi-Wan and Anakin would have been way better suited in the beginning. Imagine the opening being that, instead of Reva and all of her people dying. That would have set the tone and the expectations of the show so well. Imagine you see the struggle and the relationship that they had built up over the course of the Padawan and Jedi training. And then you slowly watch as Obi-Wan tries to overcome that feeling of failure and betrayal and his own guilt while trying to train in the Force like Yoda wanted him to, but also feeling so guilty that he feels like he has to cut himself off of the Force. That would have been such a powerful opening, but I think it's clear now in retrospective that from that first moment, this was not the show that we wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. This was just the
Reva show.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
all these other people and kind of Obi-Wan.
Yeah, once again, we have a poorly named show.
Yes.
This is not about Obi-Wan. This is about Reva. It makes me so mad.
Yeah.
Also, your point was that we're slowly watching. We're not slowly watching anyone. We are speeding through what should be a very
that's what I'm saying. Like ideally,
time.
That's what we should be doing.
Oh, I see.
But that's obviously they were never given the opportunity to do something like that. Sadly. Yeah. So
I'm just so upset about it.
It's very disappointing. And I see all these people like, oh my gosh, it's so good. It's like, what? Are we watching the same show?
Yeah.
There's a lot of fans out there, and I'm not belittling you at all. Like, if you want to enjoy something casually, that's perfectly fine. But as someone who loves film, loves storytelling, and is super passionate in learning and developing my skills in that, to see something with so much potential, even if they had the same pieces that they currently have, there are way better ways to tell that story that they want to tell in this show than the way that they're doing. Let's say Reva has to be in there. Obviously, she does because she's in there more than Obi-Wan is. Okay, you have Reva there. You have the Grand Inquisitor. You have Darth Vader. You have Obi-Wan. And you have Leia. All of these pieces are like, oh my gosh, that's going to be a great recipe, right? No. Well, you have peanut butter and you have like jelly. It's like, okay, yeah. Peanut butter is Obi-Wan, jelly is Darth Vader. It's like, okay, that sounds great. Okay, and now you have pickles with like the Grand Inquisitor. It's like, okay, I've had a peanut butter and pickle sandwich before. That kind of makes sense. And then you have like lasagna and Leia. It's like, okay, you're losing me. It's a side, right? No, it's on the sandwich. Okay. And also, we have like macarons. Those are on the sandwich too. All of those things, like you could make like a pretty nice 3-course dinner with it if you gave it the time and let like some discussion, maybe had like a nice wine there. Little extra things here and there, but no, it's like, nope, let's pile everything into the sandwich and expect you to love it. And if you don't love it, we're going to say, no, you're just a horrible person and you hate fun things. It's like, no. You should be highlighting the macarons as a core dessert. And you should be saying, hey, this peanut butter and jelly, it's something you love and have experienced forever. You know what it's supposed to taste like. But we're not going to give that to you.
Can we talk about Reva?
Yes.
I don't understand what they're doing with her character.
Mm-hmm. She's so all over the place.
Yeah.
When we have the revelation, I'll say, and I'm using that quotation marks, it's like the only reason she's in the Inquisitors is to get to Darth Vader and to attack him because she killed her other Padawan people. Then you have this weird discussion between Obi-Wan and her, between this gigantic locked door that should not have the ability to have any discussions between. But hey, we need to have this. So
and that
obviously
she can
that's how
also
it's gonna
slice
happen.
through like bread. That's
Yeah.
great. Whereas Qui-Gon Jinn tries to do that, and it takes him several minutes just having stabbed it through. Like,
Or that gigantic blaster that shot it several times and
Yeah.
still did really nothing.
but her lightsaber, man, it just went.
Yes. Anyway.
Reva. Wow. Okay, so youngling to outcast / just joins.
Also, she played dead.
Yeah, played dead. Held her companions till they went cold, and was also stabbed herself. So somehow she got healed and somehow got in the ranks. Somehow we see her rise in power because she's just driven by this need to kill Vader. And to kill him, she feels like she has to get as close as the Grand Inquisitor. So she has to do all these horrible things to everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Including the people that she's supposed to be getting revenge for.
Right. And her final thought is not, it's not, I want to die doing this. It's, I think I'm still going to live after all this, because, like, I choose the worst times to do such things.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Lightsabers?
What?
I know they can cut, like, hands off and slice through doors. And Darth Vader had, like, 2 lightsabers that he totally could have been just like, zoop, you're done for. Goodbye, Count Dooku. Also, I think the most disrespectful thing to do in the show is to say, hey, they write themselves into these corners. They kill, using heavy quotation marks here, because everyone knows if you've watched Rebels that the Grand Inquisitor is still alive. Obviously, if you are a hardcore, not even a hardcore fan, if you watched Rebels, you know the timeline and say, hey, because that's how it goes. And then they're like, oh my gosh, where's the Grand Inquisitor? Ooh, what happens? Oh my goodness, blah, blah, blah. It's like, one, you're disrespecting the fans. You're like, oh, hey, we're going to totally say, yeah, we know this is canon, that he's still alive, but we're going to, one, play around with the stakes entirely of, like, no one's actually dead. Again, taking away the motivation of the story. It's like, oh, we know he's going to come back. You can literally do anything. And that's a problem of prequels in general, is like, Obi-Wan's going to still be alive, and the Grand Inquisitor's going to be alive. Don't kill those people that are going to be alive. Do it with someone else.
Don't pretend to kill those people.
Yeah. That's not smart of you.
No.
That's not like, oh, I'm doing something really cool here. It's
like, wow, we've seen this a lot lately. Can we step away from stabbing people in the gut, please? Please. Because apparently it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. I will say that Reva's character is so much worse that I really enjoyed the portrayal of the Grand Inquisitor, the 2 seconds that he's in.
Yep.
That one, hello. That scene's so good. Hello. And Vader's really weird in this too.
I don't know what to say anymore.
Mm-hmm. And Vader's character is supposed to be like, not give second chances to anyone, and like Reva's on her 7th chance. Okay.
I really just wanted to see him decapitate her because.
Mm-hmm. And then her going after Luke after being stabbed. How is she gonna get off that planet? First of all, second of all, goodness gracious, lightsaber stabs. And if you have not seen Our Flag Means Death, highly recommend the show. But there's a section in there of like how to get stabbed, and it's to take it in your left abdomen. Supposedly that's where the least important organs are.
Sure.
And that's how Blackbeard has been surviving for so long, is getting stabbed in that set location over and over again. He's got a bunch of wounds and scars and everything. It's so good. So I guess they were watching Our Flag Means Death. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's good things, but there's not many.
Yeah.
There's like maybe 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
And that's mostly just seeing Obi-Wan be Obi-Wan again.
Just
But
Ewan McGregor.
even him, I have issues with now because A, they're making it too fast, but also I'm tired of seeing. We're almost to the last episode, and I'm tired of seeing him wallow. And I'm still seeing him wallow.
We're at the point of the story arc where he should be like, we've had the setup of the character, we have the decision that he needs to make, the challenge that he needs to face, and then we need to have the character growth and the overcoming of that challenge. We have gotten the setup. That is it.
Yeah.
There is no overarching theme of the show. There is no, like, this is just, yeah, well, we need to make a show on Obi-Wan because everyone's requesting it, but we really don't want to make a show on Obi-Wan.
We just want to make a show on Reva, so we'll just make it, we'll call it Obi-Wan, and we'll just give him a little...
We'll call it Obi-Wan because everyone loves Obi-Wan, and we're going to promote it as Obi-Wan versus Vader, but all of the Vader versus Obi-Wan shots are going to be awful.
Yeah. And we've only had one?
Yes.
What?
And that one was so pitiful.
Sad.
And they played with it where it's like, oh, Darth Vader's going to kill him. Oh, no, wait, he can't kill him.
He just wants him to suffer.
It's like, no. That's not very rewarding, sadly.
And actually, now it's a Reva against Vader show. So...
I hated that so much. I hated that. It takes away from the ultimate Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan fight that we're going to get next episode to have this. I wonder if we're even going to get it, honestly.
I really don't know.
Because it's all going to be about Luke, and they can't play with Luke and Vader at the same time, so it's going to have to be a separate one. Do you? Oh my gosh!
Unless
do you
they're just
wonder?
going to try and wrap it up, and then they're going to make the Luke and Vader thing more of like the Reva show.
Like the ultimate motivation for the Reva show is going to be Luke and that would make sense.
Yeah.
But also that would be just that would be pushing canon to the limits.
Yeah. It already is. What with him and Leia right now. Ugh. And I still don't understand why would she even want to go after him. She failed. Like, I wish she could just accept failure or die.
It's not going to change anything. Because if her ultimate motivation is Darth Vader, going after Luke is not going to do anything.
No. What's she going to do? Look, I've got Luke, and Vader, you should really be interested in Luke right now.
But why?
Right.
That's no one to me.
Honestly, I don't know if it was because we really couldn't hear it too well.
Unless...
Or what that broken thing, I didn't quite catch what it was. Like, yes, I understand that she now knows that there's another child
I wonder if Reva takes Luke to another planet, because obviously that's what they're going to do.
Why?
And then that's how Vader finds out that Luke is actually his son. Because we do see that in The Empire Strikes Back is, no, I am your father.
But then why would he leave him alone?
Obviously it doesn't make sense because everything that they're doing with this
it's going to screw
sense.
it all up.
Sadly, yeah.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
I wish they went on, like, this is totally aside. We're not going to be, this is oh man, what if, or if only. If only they went with a more Western style. We have this gunslinger basically in Obi-Wan that his ultimate goal is to protect Luke.
Right.
And in some way that is compromised or he is taken off world and has to go back to Luke. I think that is a stronger storyline. And then you get to see him struggling with the repressed emotions that he feels he can't have while he trains.
Yeah.
I think that would have been very interesting. And then that would have been the Obi-Wan show.
Yeah, there are too many characters here. We don't need Leia. We don't need Reva. We just need him.
We don't need Darth Vader.
We don't need Darth Vader. We don't.
Grand Inquisitor could make sense. Yeah. I think that was
it could put some pressure. Direction. That could be the reason why he has to get off world or something. But goodness, could we just have Obi-Wan, please?
Yes, I'm a simple man. I want a Star Wars Western with Obi-Wan, where he actually has to fight his emotions, and then you get to play around with the fun idea of like toxic masculinity and the struggles of one losing, but also wrestling with the guilt and trying to overcome that lack of like a feeling good about yourself,
well, and
even covering it with this, oh yeah, I'm the greatest, and then you fail, and then you get to focus on, oh my gosh, that would be so good.
I don't know if that's toxic masculinity so much as it is the structure in which he's been raised in, like the Jedi Temple, and how that actually is hindering him in dealing with these emotions. And like, we could have this like kind of break from the temple and what their philosophy was, and it could just be this like whole like
realizing how flawed the system was,
realizing the flaws but realizing the beauty of it, and then like having this like come to Jesus moment where he just like understands like this is where they were wrong, this is where they were right, and we can I'm okay with that.
He could be what Luke should be.
Yeah. Because ultimately he becomes Luke's like, I want to be like you guy.
Yeah. Sadly, that's never going to happen, and they miss the opportunity to tell a story like that.
It's already done.
And why are we, I think that's what's getting us in trouble, is why are we expecting good story from these shows as they've showed us over the course of, since 2015 to now? We can't.
Nope.
The surprise was Mando, and then they screwed that up a lot in season 2, which was a lot less of that impact. Then there's the Book of Boba Fett, which was awful. This show is awful. Andor, I have hopes for, because it does not seem like they're doing anything like, oh yeah, we're gonna have this character and this character and this character and this character. It's like, nope, we're gonna tell Andor's story, Cassian Andor's story, and it's gonna be this very contained thing. And they've had 2 years to work on it.
We can't assume anything with anyone's name on it. I'm just going to start assuming that, you know what, it's probably not about them. It's probably about some other character that they're going to try and make a spin-off for.
Ahsoka shows up at the end and, oh my gosh, ruins everything.
Yeah, like who knows who that show's about, because it's definitely not going to be Ahsoka.
No, it's definitely going to be Ahsoka because it's Filoni. He won't let anyone touch his baby.
I don't have any high hopes. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm washing my hands.
Video games are great, though.
Yes, video games I will still have a high expectation
Expanded
for.
Universe has been rocking. I've heard great things about the book series that have been going on. Animated shows are good. Visions is awesome. But what else is awesome is this podcast. So definitely share it with your podcast Star Wars friends, your Star Wars buddies, even if they haven't had the exposure to podcasts. We greatly appreciate that. Leave us a review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or even Spotify. We greatly appreciate that as well. It's a great free way to support the show. You can listen to the show wherever you find podcasts, as well as on YouTube with the video version. And again, video version of this podcast, we forgot to press record for the first maybe 5 to 10 minutes.
Oops.
I'm not sure. So you won't be able to see our faces until we realized it was off.
Until we get into the meat of things.
Yeah, we got in the meat of things and then we switched it on. So greatly appreciate that. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts for completely free. And as always, may the Force be with you.